April 26th, 2025, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. The Ring Magazine, Fatal Fury, City of Wolves. It is their first show. And this first show is starting off with an almighty bang. We have one of the biggest, most highly anticipated main events, not just in British boxing, but boxing in general this year. And I think it'll be right up there as long as this year goes on, because we're only in April and people are absolutely counting down the minutes for this fight, this main event. And the undercard is particularly good as well, which we will talk about now in a wee bit. But let's talk about the main event. We are looking at Chris Eubank Jr. squaring off against Conor Benn in a fight that has so many people, not just in the UK, but from around the world talking. The antics of the first fight press conference really helped with that, but I'll talk about that now in a wee bit as well. This fight right here, it's been a couple of years in the making, but it goes back a lot further than that. It really truly does, because you can look at the proposed dates and the cancelled fights and stuff like that, but I think this goes back to both guys' respective fathers, because Nigel and Chris Sr. in the 1990s, they had a rivalry to end all rivalries. I mean, you could be a football fan who's never watched boxing, has no interest in it, but they knew who Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. were, and they also knew that those two guys, they did not like one another. They were not going to be high on each other's respective Christmas card list. And much like their fathers, their sons are quite like that as well. You know, Nigel Benn really didn't like Chris Eubank Sr. and Chris Eubank Sr. really played up to that. Fast forward 30 plus years and you have Conor Benn, and he really, to say the least, doesn't like Chris Eubank Jr. And Chris Eubank Jr., he is having a field day. He is winding Conor Benn up. I think he's even winding Nigel up a little bit as well. He is absolutely, he's not stopping the mind games, and he's already getting reactions out of Conor Benn, which, I don't know, I would be worried if I was in Team Benn that he's biting on every little thing Eubank Jr. gives him. I mean, this is a guy who even had Piers Morgan getting a little bit aggro. So Chris Eubank Jr. is on fire in terms of the mind games. But boxing isn't necessarily one with mind games. It's one in the ring. And a lot of people going into this fight are talking also about the size difference. Chris Eubank Jr. has been at middleweight for the majority of his career. He stepped up to super middle and came back down, but he's been around that weight his whole career, and it's been a long career as well. Conor Benn started at welterweight, and he still considers himself a welterweight. However, he's not fought at that respective weight division for 3 years. As far as I'm concerned, you're not really a welterweight if you've not fought there for any longer than a year. And looking at recent pictures of Conor Benn, people, he is looking massive. I think Chris Eubank Jr. could be in for a big shock on fight night when he sees how big Conor Benn is on fight night, how strong he is, and potentially the punching power as well. Also, there is talk that there's a rehydration clause in place for this fight, and really, who does that benefit and who does that, put at a disadvantage? For me, I would say Chris Eubank Jr. Although he probably doesn't look physically as big in terms of, body mass, he's been at that weight for years. He's getting older. He's in his mid-30s now. So that could actually, that could cause some problems for Chris Eubank Jr. The talk and the build-up for this fight has all been about the antics of the first press conference. All I'll say is that there has to be a record. The most expensive egg ever, because that one egg set Chris Eubank Jr. back a hefty 100 grand, and as he said, it was worth every penny. Okay, but what that did is it took people who were maybe, Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, and once that whole scene happened, it was Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, I want to watch. I think we are going to see an absolute spectacle in terms of fan interaction, in terms of viewing figures. I think it's going to be amazing. I think the atmosphere in White Hart Lane, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, is going to be phenomenal. I really do. It's always looked good, but I think this one in particular, it's going to be amazing. And this is just the main event. People, we have a phenomenal undercard. We really, truly do. Vidal Riley versus Chev Clark is one of the fights on the undercard. That fight alone, whether it's boxer or whether it's matchroom, it could do a main event, no question asked. She could do a main event on headline one of their shows, no questions asked. This is an undercard fight. It's an amazing fight. You Vidal Riley, athletic, young, looking really good, fast. You've Chev Clark, more experienced, huge for a cruiserweight. He is massive, big puncher. Who do you pick? What way do you go? I'm still at a loss. I wanted to do this video and talk about who I think will win, but this one, I'm stumped. My head tells me Chev Clark wins it, but I say that with no great degree of confidence. I think that fight is going to be amazing. I really do. We have CBS making his return to the ring, Chris Billum Smith. Chris Billum Smith, former WBO cruiserweight champion. He was the victor over Lawrence Okoli, who's now gone up to heavyweight. He avenged his sole defeat to Richard Riakporhe before ultimately coming up short against Zurdo Ramirez. If you take Jayot Pataya and Zurdo out, you've got to say CBS, Chris Billum Smith, is one of, if not the best in the division. So it's going to be interesting to see how he looks in his return fight. Liam Smith, Aaron McKenna. What more can I say about that fight? You've got a kid in McKenna who we expect big things from, but Liam Smith is experienced. He is experienced, and he has actually got a win over Chris Eubank Jr. Although he lost the rematch, he was still the only guy, not just to stop Chris Eubank Jr., but to actually put him down and really hurt him. Write Liam Smith off at your peril. Again, this could be another case of legend killer or legend killed. And then finally, Anthony Yarde versus Lyndon Arthur. These two had that rivalry of 2020 to 2021. Lyndon Arthur beat Anthony Yarde on points in December of 2020, and I thought he deserved a win. I really do. Anthony Yarde ran it back with him a year later and stopped him in a couple of rounds. And since then, it's fair to say, both guys have had similar fortunes in their careers, if you really think about it. Both guys are in an unfortunate time where the two champions in their respective divisions are Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. That's a big ask to beat either one of them. Anthony Yarde tried Beterbiev, he was unsuccessful. Lyndon Arthur tried Dmitry Bivol, he was unsuccessful. The only people who can beat them are each other. That's how it seems. So both guys have had world title attempts and failed, and they find themselves in a trilogy fight. Potentially a fight with Callum Smith or David Benavidez awaits the winner. I don't know if that's a prize or not, but I do think this fight will be interesting while it lasts. For me, I think Anthony Yarde has taken that little bit less damage. He's taken that little bit less damage since their last respective fight. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Anthony Yarde to win this fight. In terms of some of the other fights, CBS should win. And I think Aaron McKenna is going to pull it out of the bag. But really, I know what you guys want. You want to know, who do you think is going to win the main event? Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn. Although many may disagree, I think there really is only one winner. Well, the fans for one. Maybe there is two winners. The fans for one are definitely the winners. But I think Chris Eubank Jr. to win this fight on points. It will be live worldwide on DAZN. It will be on Sky in the UK as well as DAZN. And people, the Ring Magazine, Fatal Fury, City of Wolves. I think it's a brilliant card. I think it's going to be epic. I can't wait to see it. People, it is going to be mega. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Peace.